This is 1480 KRAE Cheyenne.
Also being heard on translator K266CC Cheyenne at 101.1 FM.
It's time for Wyoming Sports Talk today on KRAE. Here are your hosts, Nick and Larry Proetti.
Welcome to Wyoming Sports Talk today. It is being brought to you by Taco John's of Cheyenne. Locations on South Greeley Highway, downtown KRAE Avenue, north side on Yellowstone. Right down the road from us on Del Range and Ridge, and of course, right over on Pershing and Ridge. There's always a great stop for delicious tacos, the perfect taco, like the Taco Perfecto from Taco John's of Cheyenne. Kia of Cheyenne over on Nation Way, where again the lot is filled with 2020 model year Kias. And again, from Soul all the way to Telluride, you are going to find some beauties on the lot. And again, the Kias sell themselves. All you need to do is just take the test drive, let the guys fill out the paperwork, and you're good to go. Kia of Cheyenne over on Nation Way. Platte Valley Bank over on Vandehigh, and again on the east side of the corner of College and Pershing, with all the banking services you've come to expect from Platte Valley Bank, and they go even a little bit further. Now, we start thinking about remodel loans, home loans, car loans. Yes, they do it all for you over there at Platte Valley Bank. Chick-fil-A, Windmill, and Del Range, serving up 3 delicious squares Monday through Saturday, so enjoy some delicious Chick-fil-A sandwiches. Oh, yeah, and have some mac and cheese along with those waffle fries, or join them for breakfast. They got 2 convenient drive-thrus. They're open up Monday through Saturday, serving up 3 delicious squares right across from Powers Field and Menards at Windmill and Del Range. Medicat Pharmacy, for all your pharmaceutical needs, open Monday through Saturday. Do your business inside. Use the convenient drive-thru outside. They're directly across from our good friends over at Texas Roadhouse. B&B Appliance and TV at 714 Central Avenue. We're into the waning days of the President's Day sale, so check out what Bruce and the crew have for you over at B&B Appliance and TV, 714 Central Avenue. Lennox Auto Body, the main repair center over on Dunn Avenue, the Auto Glass and Detail Center on Pershing Boulevard. Again, both part of Lennox Enterprises, and they have been serving our community needs for over a quarter century. First Year Bank, 1508 Stillwater Avenue, open Monday through Friday. Again, check out their CD rates today and each day, because they continue to get better at First Tier Bank. Mondello's Pizzeria saw Joe and Caesar and the gang today over there at 1507 Stillwater Avenue, Suite D in the Greenway Commons. Again, open 7 days a week, serving up that delicious pizza. Again, ranked in the top 10 by the Food Network folks. So see why the Food Network folks like Joe's Pie. It is excellent. Now into his 5th decade of serving delicious Paisan cuisine, Mondello's Pizzeria. 1507 Stillwater Avenue, Suite D in the Greenway Commons. At Scoreboard Times, brought to you by Pepsi of Cheyenne. Here's Nick.
Recapping from last night's at least action with LCCC men's and women's basketball in action at the RAC, taking on Eastern Wyoming. We'll start with the women's contest, where LCCC falls short of the Lady Lancers by a final of 63-61. We'll talk more at least about that contest coming up, especially with head coach Brian Ortmeier. But with the loss for LCCC on the season, at least with divisional record-wise, LCCC is going to fall to 7-6 in Region 9 North, 18-11 overall. For men's action, just after that game wrapped up, taking on Eastern Wyoming, LCCC also lost that one, 83-71. So LCCC, the Golden Eagles, with that loss, they will drop to 2-11 in Region 9 North play, 4-23 overall. NHL action for tonight, you will see the Toronto Maple Leafs at home. They will host the Pittsburgh Penguins. The New Jersey Devils at home. They will take on the San Jose Sharks. Montreal Canadiens will be in Washington, at least the nation's capital, to see the Capitals. That happening at 5 o'clock tonight. Columbus Blue Jackets at home. They will host the Philadelphia Flyers. Ottawa Senators, they will take on the Winnipeg Jets. Arizona Coyotes will travel to St. Louis to the Enterprise Center to see the Blues. In Sin City at T-Mobile Arena in Vegas, the Vegas Golden Knights will host the Tampa Bay Lightning. And at Staples in L.A., the Kings will take on the Florida Panthers. That's what's happening in NHL action for tonight.
NBA back in business tonight. It will be the Bucks at the Pistons, Heat, Hawks in State Farm Arena at Atlanta, GA. The Bulls tonight in the United Center hosting the Hornets. It will be the Nets and 76ers in the Wells Fargo Center in Philadelphia, at the Golden One Center in Sacramento, California. Sacramento Kings and the Memphis Grizzlies. Warriors tonight in the Chase Center in San Francisco. They'll have a date with the Houston Rockets. Our scoreboard brought to you by Pepsi of Cheyenne.
At Mountain Dew, we say here's to the doers.
The people who know you gotta do what you gotta do.
Who do it big.
makes us your one-stop shop. For more information, please call Larry Proetti at 307-637-0301.
When you say Mondello Pizzeria, think authentic Italian. When you say Mondello Pizzeria, think made fresh from scratch. When you say Mondello Pizzeria, think great pizza, delicious Philly cheesesteak, superb hot and cold Italian sandwiches, meatballs, sausage, and special subs, calzones, crisp salads, and great service. When you say Mondello's Pizzeria, think unmatched Italian taste. Mondello's Pizzeria, 1507 Stillwater Avenue, your only true Italian stop for lunch or dinner.
Give your kitchen a presidential upgrade with GE Cafe's Matte White Collection during B&B Appliance and TV's annual President's Day sale. GE Cafe's Matte White Collection offers an easy-to-clean, fingerprint-resistant matte finish with sleek brushed bronze hardware for that unique pop of color. You can find GE Cafe's Matte White Collection along with other brands on sale now through February 22nd. Take advantage of free in-town delivery and haul away of your old with purchase. B&B Appliance and TV, 714 Central Avenue. Best brands, hometown service.
Is the touchscreen on your phone or tablet cracked or broken? Buying a new device could cost up to $1,000. Or you could let the local experts at High West Digital Solutions save you hundreds of dollars. We can replace your touchscreen in as little as a day, and your satisfaction is guaranteed. Visit our website at hwds.com or call 307-245-4333 and speak to a real live human being. High West Digital Solutions, the best choice, the local choice, the right choice for you.
Here's the latest weather forecast on 1480 KRAE.
Weather-wise for today, sunshine, expected daytime high of 33, clear for tonight with our low down to 14 degrees. Tomorrow, Friday, sunshine and breezy, look for an afternoon high of 49, winds out of the west at 15 to 20, gusting as high as 30. And for Friday night, a clear sky with our low dropping down to 26 degrees.
Fat, lazy, and stupid is no way to conduct a sports talk radio show. We've thrown down the gauntlet, upped the stakes, and made it clear that when it comes to sports talk radio in Cheyenne, there's a new player in town. This is Wyoming Sports Talk Today, and it's only here on AM 1480 KRAE.
And we bring on our first guest. He is the voice of the Northeastern Junior College Plainsman and Lady Plainsman, Ben Blecha. Ben, good to talk to you, and thanks for giving us a few minutes of your time. I know you're a busy dad like a lot of our announcers are in this part of the world, so we appreciate you giving us a few minutes. We're going to talk about your Plainsman and Lady Plainsman, but, I think back to when we were down there, back in November. We're in JC 173-62. I thought, Coach Strenkel's got a good team, but didn't know how good they're going to be. And then I guess, in your opinion, Ben, we look at after the loss at Air Force Prep, coming back after the Christmas break, then they run off 11 in a row in Southern Conference action. I mean, how good has this team improved since we last saw them?
Well, this team has gotten dramatically better in spite of the fact that they lost one of their two primary point guards. I believe Teray Johnson was still playing when you were down in Sterling, and they lost him before the Christmas break to an injury to end the season. So it was kind of a curse because Coach Trinkle had a team, and we talked when you were down here in Sterling about how deep this team was. They had 2 and 3 at every position, and the point guard was one that you really worried, but Ryan Bagley has stepped up in a dramatic way. He's put up 2 triple-doubles in Region 9 South play, both as a part of that 11-game winning streak, and he's been playing 35 minutes a game, a very, very top-tier point guard, one of the best point guards I've seen in my 12 years as the voice of NJC. There's a couple that probably have eclipsed him, that come to mind, but what he has done with this offense has been incredible, and their depth has just continued to develop. They're still 2 and 3 deep at every position. This team is almost as good as the 2014 Region 9 men's basketball champion Plainsman team that went to the national tournament. I say almost as good because we still haven't finished the season yet, so I don't have a full basis of comparison.
Yeah, I was going to say that at least season still up, at least few games remaining down there in the South, only one remaining up here in Region 9 North play, but we'll talk about Northeastern on the mid-side where, looking right now in South play, 10-1. The recent at least one loss was against on the road at Otero for the Plainsmen, also to sit overall at 20-7. Speaking of that Otero team, which you've at least had a couple times to see throughout the season, again, know what they're doing in Region 9 South, where we were early in the season, we saw that Otero team, they were kind of the darling favorite to kind of run away with Region 9 South and also to pretty much dominate Region 9 in just kind of general, but they've kind of come back to reality, come back to earth. What's kind of been happening with the Rattlers out of Otero?
Well, I was actually impressed to see them. Ryan Begley got one of his 2 triple-doubles when the two teams played in Sterling back in late January, and I was not impressed with what I'd seen. They've got some pretty good shooters. They've got some pretty high-level players in Raquandis Mitchell and the Carrasco kid that I think are both very, very good, top-tier Division I type kids. Yanni Vidal, another one of the shooters for them. They just kind of had some off nights, and when I saw them Tuesday, they looked a lot better. They're not super deep, and I think that's what got them, is not being as deep as you would anticipate an Otero team to be. We've seen this Otero team be one of the top-tier teams over the last 4 or 5 years in the South, and they just didn't have that depth. They still don't have that, and that comes into play when you go and play places like coming up to Sterling and playing for them, or like going even over to Trinidad, even though that's their closest trip. Scott Gymnasium is the most difficult gym to play in all of Region 9, and they had a loss that on paper they shouldn't have had, but when anybody who's paid attention to Region 9 South takes a look at results at Trinidad, you go, oh, yeah, okay, well, that was at Trinidad, so I can see that happening, because hardly anybody ever wins in Scott Gymnasium except for the Trojans.
Well, they have one of the best broadcast facilities there. I like when we're down there broadcasting at Trinidad.
Yeah, you're being facetious.
Ben, real quick, talking about the likes of Bagley, I think of Diallo and Farron, the steady eddies that Coach Trankel has on his ball club. And again, a very good sophomore laden team for NJC this year. You've been around this game a long time, as you mentioned, longtime voice of the Plainsmen. Tell our listeners, and again, we only have 3 sophomores on this year's squad, but tell us the difference from those freshman guys, and again, using Diallo and Farron and Bagley as the trio there. Tell us the difference from their freshman season to this year. What kind of improvements you saw immediately from these guys?
Well, what you see, and I mean, you mentioned all those guys. Another guy that I think most demonstrates the increased ability from a freshman to a sophomore year is Maz Doria for the Northeastern Plainsmen. Last year, he was a key part of a late season upset that the Plainsmen had in the Region 9 tournament at Otero to get themselves into the Region 9 quarterfinals, in spite of the fact I think we were like the 7 seed when we went into the tournament. It didn't have business getting to the quarterfinals according to the standings. And he was a big part of finding that defense, but then he was also a big part of the collapse that happened down the stretch for the Northeastern Plainsmen against Sheridan in the quarterfinal round of the Region 9 tournament. He didn't get the box out. He didn't take the right shot. He fought under a screen instead of it over a screen. It's those little things that you see as improvements from freshmen to sophomores. Ryan Begley understanding how he can contribute 35 minutes a game as the point guard now. Mo Diallo understanding, for the most part, how not to get into foul trouble, although that's kind of what cost the Northeastern Plainsmen the other day out in Lahana, was he got into foul trouble early in the contest against the Otero Rattlers, and ended up shortening the bench. And it's just those little intangible things that you see from that freshman to the sophomore year, the consistency. You know what you're going to get each and every time out of these sophomores. And I think regardless of what you see, in the stat line, some of those things are just intangible. From having been around the game a long time as well, that you just can't stat some things like that freshman to sophomores, but it's that basketball IQ that has really been the biggest increase for Northeastern this year.
Ben, as we get closer, at least this is the final week for the regular season, then playoffs start next weekend here in Region 9 North and South. But, looking towards the South on the men's side of things, what has been kind of the standout surprise so far this season? Again, whether it is your Northeastern Plainsman team, Otero kind of taking a tumble in Region 9 South play, what have been kind of the surprises on the men's side down there in the South?
Well, I think some of the surprise actually involves that second, third place matchup between WNCC that's going to be played tomorrow night down in La Junta. WNCC, after everybody had kind of seen them in Otero, you really felt that was kind of the 1-2 in the South, and they've really had some struggles in keeping their consistency from game to game. We saw them when NJC beat them last Thursday by like 20 points. It came out utterly flat the next night in Lamar, and so that's been kind of a surprise for them. The other team that I think has been a pleasant surprise has been Lamar. I didn't expect a lot out of that team this season, even though they had some sophomores that had come back that were going to be nice contributors. I didn't think that they were going to be able to mesh well, and they really have. And Lamar's in position, if they win tomorrow night in McCook, they get a home game in that opening round of the Region 9 tournament next weekend, which I think is the complete surprise for everybody on the South side.
You look at on the North, and 1 through 6 on any given night, they could probably beat each other. I think Casper, obviously, the class of the North right now. But, you look at, and excluding LCCC and Northwest.
And don't disrespect Western Wyoming, where, again, they will be at least on pace to host the Region 9 tournament.
That's what I was leading to with Western Wyoming. But I'm just saying, EWC beat Western Wyoming. So I'm just saying that 1 through 6 right now in our northern bracket, I tell you right now, flip a coin. I mean, somebody could pull a big upset and come out of there as a top seed.
Well, absolutely, and of course I have a great affinity for Western Wyoming because Steve Souza, their head coach, spent a decade in Sterling as our assistant coach, and he and I spent many road trips rooming together. We both know how much each other snores, so we're very glad we don't have to room together anymore, I believe. Hi, Steve, by the way. But I think that you're right. 1 through 6 up north, anybody can beat anybody, and I think 1 through 5 in the South on any given night, especially on a neutral floor, could beat anybody in the South. But that's the big thing, and why these games are so important in this final week. The Friday games in the South, and then the couple that are Tuesday next week, and then all your guys' games up north on Saturday, is that you're in a position where you want that home court advantage because there is so much advantage to playing at home. It's not just Scott Gymnasium, but I don't think anybody wants to go on the road down to Lamar. That's a tough facility to play in for a lot of teams in the South, and I know up north you've got some significant home court advantages. So finding these wins, finding those key tie breaks are I think, going to be the most fun thing to watch this weekend as a fan of Region 9 basketball.
As we look at the Region 9 North, and again, Western Wyoming on pace to host the Region 9 tournament with their victory this past Wednesday, or at least yesterday. Again, Casper up top, Gillette, Central Wyoming, the top 4 teams right now in Region 9 North play. But, as we look towards the playoffs, again, we'll spotlight your Plainsman team right now where, again, they clinch. They're going to be that number 1 seed coming out of the South. And, again, they still have that first-round playoff game at home to take care of business before heading out to Rock Springs. But, for your Plainsmen, what is the path? What needs to be done? What opponents, or how is Northeastern going to come away with the Region 9 tournament title this season?
Well, I mean, right now the Plainsmen are locked in to the number 1. Tomorrow's game at Trinidad is inconsequential as far as the standings, holding a 3-game lead on WNCC and Otero. So that's kind of nice because now NJC knows, hey, we're hosting in Sterling March 5th, 6th, and 7th. We're giving ourselves an opportunity to be on our own home court. We know that. And so it's about those small little improvements, but that's the big thing. Once you get into that Region 9 tournament, I mean, if you just brought the top 4 in, heck, even the top 3, because, Central Wyoming and Sheridan are a coin toss, and I think EWC even playing potentially Gillette right now in the opening round of the tournament as a coin toss. You can't say at any given time that any of these teams are a shoe-in. Years past, when it was the 16-team tournament, you had that one game on the opening day of the 5-day tournament to get yourself in gear. And if you stumbled a little bit, like in 2014 when the Plainsmen last hosted the Region 9 tournament, they stumbled the opening round against Little Bighorn, ended up winning the game, but did not look good. They had a chance to kind of mentally get there. You don't have that opportunity now. You get on the court, and any of those 4 that come out of the North and any of the 4 that come out of the South, I would not be surprised to see a win. So it's working on those little things, and I think that's why it was you don't ever want to lose for the Plainsmen, but I think it was important to lose at La Junta on Tuesday night, because now the team got into gear the last couple days, actually started focusing back on those little details and just kind of reminding the Plainsmen that they're human. They have to remember they're human if they're going to have success, because you do need to know you're beatable in order to win this hardwood round ball sport.
We're talking with Ben Blecha of the NJC Plainsmen. Ben, I look at the arena down at NJC, and again, that is a tough house. I know we were lucky a couple years back when the men went down there, and it was just raining threes. And matter of fact, the fans were all getting into how many threes were being hit, especially like one landed Taliaferro for the Golden Eagles, and we actually came away with a win there. But I'm looking back. And you can tell us and our listeners, again, beautiful facility there. I rank that like number 1 or 2 with the Gillette Pronghorns and their nice little mini collegiate arena that they have there in Gillette. But you had a string of 6 home games beginning on Tuesday, the 21st of January. You took on Air Force Prep. Then you had 5 conference division games right after that. Tell us how important that was for the upswing for the Plainsmen here in their conference.
Well, it's something that we
division.
have every year. It's something we have every year in our division, because that facility it also hosts the area high school regional wrestling tournament and the area high school regional basketball tournaments. Part of the reason why we're on the road so much late in the season is the facility is just not available to have some of those home games. And so it's really important in that little stretch there to be able to get those wins. And the great teams in my dozen years as the voice of NJC have taken advantage of that late January, early February swing at home and found, great records. Obviously never that many records. We hadn't won 11 games in a row since the 2013-14 season when we kicked off the season 12-0. But it was important to really have that, and it got the student and community support behind there. That's one thing that makes Jackson and Edwards Arena such a home court advantage, is you get that fan support that often isn't seen at this level. And when this team was on that run, the people started coming out. You started getting 400, 500, 600 people a night in that gym. And that's big. You talked about the student section getting there. When you get the community, the parents and their kids and the grandparents that bring their kids in, boy, that place can get loud and it can get rowdy pretty quick.
Let's flip it over to the ladies. Now, the ladies, just a game over the Mendoza line right now overall, but they're kind of, they remind me a little bit of the Lady Golden Eagles too. Every time you think they've got things taken care of, and then all of a sudden they slip up a little bit. Has that been a little bit on the frustrating side, especially for you on the calls with this team, because they're almost like right there, and then all of a sudden they fall off the table?
Well, we kind of knew from the word go. I walked in October 1 to the first day of practice with head coach Dave Huss and what his team was putting together, and he had 9 players suited. That was all he'd had. He'd lost a couple to injury. A couple had transferred out before the start of the year. There's times this team has only suited 7 this year, and they've got one player that she is again up and down every single night, where she may or may not play due to some foot injuries that she's been dealing with. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not. So, this team is frustrating, but they have as much talent as anybody else in this South region, save WNCC, the number 2 club in the nation, just simply because you've got 2, potentially 3 Division I caliber players on this roster, led by Sonia Rotnikava and what she has been able to do. She's dang near put up a triple-double 3 different times this season. Brianna McBride has been a nice adjustment, the freshman that came out of the Colorado Springs area. You're seeing Sierra Muchachi have some nice success. We lost JQ Jenkins a little bit during the season. Lost the backup point guard to a concussion not once but twice during this year. She may or may not be back again this year. So the frustration has more been off the court in the fact that they just don't have the depth. You see that the talent is there, but they just don't have the depth, and that's why you see things like when we went to WNCC a week ago today, gave up a 28-5 run to close out the game because they just flat ran out of gas.
As you talk about that Lady Cougars at least team, and we talked with head coach Chad Gibney earlier this week about his number 2 nationally ranked team. But, again, as we look at the South and compare it to the Region 9 North play, where, again, Casper, we know that tournament to be hosted up there at the Swede. So, again, at least it will be there for the Lady Thunderbirds. But you've seen a lot of the South on the women's side. Again, you've seen all 7, at least, 6 of those teams on Region 9 South. Is it pretty much a situation that we just already automatically hand the crown to Western Nebraska? Are they that good that they just run the table here in Region 9? Or do the likes of Otero and McCook have a chance to kind of play spoiler a bit out of the South to that at least title run for Western Nebraska?
As far as the South Crown, it'll be officially handed out tomorrow night in La Junta when WNCC and Otero play. But having seen them on paper, when you throw 3 6-footers out on that starting lineup and bring a couple 5'11" girls off the bench, and you have a player the caliber of Tishara Morehouse, who I really feel should be in the conversation for NJCAA National Player of the Year. She is that good. I don't see anybody in the South that can contend with them. But the Plains women have done it twice. I mentioned last Thursday on the road at Cougar Palace, they were up 64-61 halfway through the third quarter on that team with 7 healthy players because we match up well with them. And I think that's especially even more so on the women's side than the men's side. It's all about those matchups and all about finding that right opportunity. And you've got some phenomenal coaches in this region. Landon Steele down at Otero does not get enough credit for what he does. He's got top-tier kids on his roster, but he comes in and he game plans with the best of them. And, through a completely different game plan at us 2 nights ago to what we saw back in Sterling when they won by 30 back in the latter part of January. So there's some top-notch coaches, north side too, that I think are going to make that from a basketball IQ standpoint an awful lot of fun to watch. But hands down, yes, to answer your initial question, WNCC is the clear-cut favorite to be the Region 9 champs.
Is there a 2-horse race over on the northern side there between the Lady Thunderbirds and the Lady Pronghorns, or do you see a Sheridan, an EWC, an LCCC, maybe possibly? Again, LCCC has beaten the Lady Thunderbirds. That's their claim to fame here in this division. But I'm just saying, is there anybody that you say right now hand the pinball wizard crown to them?
Well, Casper's won the regular season crown. They did that last night by beating Gillette. So, they're going to be the number 1, and Gillette's going to be the 2. I know there's a little bit of a mix and match, but I believe, if my math is correct, if I remembered right, EWC is locked in the 3 regardless of what happens against Gillette on Saturday. And the question right now is L-Trip or Sheridan, who's going to host that game. And we talked about home court advantage on the men's side. I think that would be huge, depending on what happens on Saturday, Sheridan, Casper, and L-Trip CWC. As far as, who's going to host that potential opening round game for the 4 or 5 seed. It will be a tough matchup against WNCC because that's when they cross over and coming in. WNCC, the South 1, would get the North 4 coming into the Region 9 tournament. It'll be a tough matchup, but, as I've said, you game plan right. Anybody, including WNCC, is beatable.
Well, Ben, we want to thank you so much for giving us a few minutes of your time today. All the best to the Plainsmen and the Lady Plainsmen. Hopefully we'll get a chance to catch up here during the postseason.
Absolutely. Sounds good.
All righty, Ben Blecha, voice of Northeastern Junior College Plainsmen and Lady Plainsmen. We thank him so much. Also, not just basketball, he's involved in a plethora of athletic events that go on at NJC because they offer more athletic events than we do here at LCCC. We are going to take a time out. We will have yet another guest headed our way as we will once again chat with Cody Tucker, founder of 7220sports.com. So he will be inside our radio coming up in a little bit right here on 1480 KRAE.
When you are dealing with the coin shop to buy, sell, or trade your gold, silver, or other precious metals, you will be met with honesty, fairness, knowledge, and exceptional customer service. The coin shop has been serving Cheyenne since 1982 and is a respected member of our community. Call David today at 778-7196 to meet privately or
together. Whatever the future holds, we'll power it. Tri-State, cooperative power, transformed.
What is Schwab's modern approach to investing? It's great service. It's transparency about how much you're paying in fees and commissions. It's offering some of the lowest costs in the industry backed by a satisfaction guarantee. If you're not satisfied for any reason, they'll refund the eligible fees and work with you to make things right. So ask yourself, are you getting low cost and award-winning service? If not, maybe it's time to call Schwab. Visit Sam at the Cheyenne Independent Branch or schwab.com/Cheyenne for more information. Charles Schwab and Company, Incorporated. Member SIPC.
It's Beatlemania all over again with the Fab Four, the ultimate Beatles tribute.
It's been a hard day's night, and I've been working. It was 20 years ago today, saw the puppet on the back to play. Hey Jude, don't make it by yesterday.
See them live at the Cheyenne Civic Center on Friday, May 15th. Tickets are on sale this Friday at evanbright.com and the Civic Center box office. It's a show you won't want to miss. The Fab Four at the Cheyenne Civic Center on Friday, May 15th. Produced by Emporium Presents.
Here's the latest weather forecast on 1480 KRAE.
Weather-wise for today, sunshine, expected daytime high of 33, clear for tonight with our low down to 14 degrees. Tomorrow, Friday, sunshine and breezy, look for an afternoon high of 49, winds out of the west at 15 to 20, gusting as high as 30. And for Friday night, a clear sky with our low dropping down to 26 degrees.
You bleed brown and gold? So do we. Wyoming Cowboys football and basketball is always front and center on this show. This is Wyoming Sports Talk Today, and it's here on AM 1480 KRAE.
Welcome back to Wyoming Sports Talk today. Our next guest, Cody Tucker, founder of 7220sports.com, joins us. Larry Proetti along with Nick Proetti. And Cody, good to have you back in the program. Real quick, we are, very shortly, it's going to be spring practice time for Craig Bohl and the Wyoming Cowboys. But the one story that was huge this week, obviously, was Clemson opting out and giving the University of Wyoming a paycheck for $1.1 million.
At least we'll preference again. They opted from Wyoming to take up Georgia.
Yeah, well, that's what I wanted to get into. I mean, it's a $1.1 million payday for not playing Clemson, and I don't know if we get our brains beat out or not. But the point is, Clemson opted to take on Georgia, which means millions of dollars more, obviously. But I guess the feeling about Clemson saying, we don't want to play you.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's seems like a win-win to me to not have to make that trip where, another thing that people forget about is the Cowboys don't really recruit around there. So they're not recruiting South Carolina. They're not down there in the Deep South. So basically that was a money game anyway. So how about taking $1.1 million to not play it? I don't think that's that bad of a deal. I mean, I know a lot of Wyoming fans like the challenge of playing a Clemson on the road, and a lot of people believe Wyoming's got a good team right now that could maybe go down there and play well against the Tigers. But I look at it as a win-win, fellas.
So now we have an open date. So and we got some money. I mean, do we try to lure somebody to come to Laramie, or now we got enough cash to fly somewhere else? I mean, what do you think that we might be looking at?
You don't think that money's going to a new basketball coach?
Well, it could. You never know. We'll get into that later, but let's talk about that open date, okay? Let's fill that first.
Well, looking at it last night, fellas, it looks like a few teams work out for the Cowboys right here if they want to go the P5 route, and that would be the University of Miami Hurricanes, which would be a game September 25th down there in Coral Gables or wherever they're playing these days at the Dolphin Stadium at Hard Rock. And Mississippi State also, Coach Leach, the Cody native, they have an opening as well, and so does USC and Tennessee. But USC seems to be the one that a lot of people are talking about. USC obviously they just dumped UC Davis from their opening slot, so September 4th they have an opening. The Cowboys that day are supposed to host Montana State in Laramie. Now the Cowboys obviously have a little wiggle room and a little extra scratch to maybe make something happen, maybe move that Montana State game, or maybe play a 0-week game against the Trojans at the LA Coliseum. So a lot of people seem to be on this LA thing. So I guess it's going to be a wait and see. But there's only a few options. 2021 is not as far away as many people think. So everybody's got their schedules down, and when you have funny money like Georgia and Clemson, you can make your own rules.
Yeah, without a doubt. And again, it's up to both schools to kind of come to agreement, or at least both programs. And again, as you talk about of how far out teams schedule, again, we have the announcement, for games coming up in 2028 and 2029. So again, they kind of make sure that these schedules are done well ahead of time. But, keep it on the football theme, and this might be the last question regarding the Wyoming Cowboys football program. But, we go back a few weeks ago where we had the controversy in D1 football happening in the Big Ten out there in East Lansing, or at least we're looking for a new head coach with Michigan State. Craig Bohl's name at least came up in that conversation of possibly being recruited to go coach for the Spartans. Cody, I want to get your thoughts on it. Again, you've been out in that area. How true was that rumor? Is it still a possibility for Craig Bohl, or what's going on with that situation?
So what's funny, guys, is I put no weight into it at first when I saw that Craig Bohl popped up on their, they had a search firm, and the search firm had Craig Bohl's name. And what better name for a search firm than Craig Bohl? The guy does it the right way. The guy graduates his players. He wins games. He's got the pedigree. He won all those games in Fargo. So he's like the perfect guy to be on one of those search committee lists. So I figured, okay, that name makes sense. He's got Midwest ties, all that stuff. But it really started to pick up a little steam when MSU started getting turned down by Luke Finkel, for one, from Cincinnati, and Mel Tucker at first. A lot of people, Pat Narduzzi at Pittsburgh, the former DC in East Lansing, they all said no to the Spartans. The Spartans, it's going to be a rebuild job there, not to mention maybe some NCAA sanctions. So a lot of guys are saying no to the Spartans, and that's when Craig Bohl's name started creeping up that list from about 10 to about 5. And that's when I actually started getting calls from former colleagues going, hey, man, this Craig Bohl thing might actually have some legs. And we all agreed that the fans would not love that hire. Craig does it the right way, which means it takes time and it takes patience, which, Michigan State was just in the college football playoff not too long ago. So patience isn't really a virtue in East Lansing. So it kind of, I don't want to ever say it got real close. I don't even know if they called. But it got close enough where my colleagues were letting me know that, hey, man, a couple more denials here, and Craig might be at least getting an interview.
Speaking of Craig Bohl, also busy in the offseason as well, adding more to the staff. And, again, did he make a right move? And is there a couple other moves that he could make to bolster that staff?
Yeah, it'd be interesting. I wonder, because I think we were all a little shocked to see that Rocky Long ended up back in New Mexico. I wonder, it'd be interesting to know if they ever kicked the tires on Rocky. But they did make, Jay Sawbell, the new defensive coordinator from, he didn't coach last year, of course, and got fired unceremoniously from Wake Forest after 4 games the year prior. But maybe it's a chance, Craig Bohl was in that neighborhood in Fargo when Sawbell coached under Jerry Kill at Minnesota. And, he liked their style, liked their play. The Gophers were really good under Jay Sawbell for a short period of time. So I think it's maybe a chance that maybe Craig liked him and Craig saw a chance for a guy to rejuvenate his career. Plus, he got the boost from Bart Miller, the offensive line coach who coached with him in Minnesota. But the big one to me is Marty English coming back. Marty obviously has so many ties in Colorado when it comes to recruiting. He's a solid coach. He proved that for a lot of years under Dave Christensen and Joe Glenn. The greatest thing, talking to former Wyoming players who were recruited by Marty, one of the things he really does is not just dominates Colorado in recruiting, but finds the diamonds in the rough in those small towns out on the Eastern Plains and really brings them in. The typical Wyoming guy, the tough ranch kid with the chip on his shoulder who never got looked at by the other schools in Colorado. So talking to former players, boy, they're excited Marty's back, and they just had nothing but good to say about him and what he can bring to the staff. And he fits the Craig Bohl mode of, he doesn't screw around. He's a tough, hard-nosed coach, and, he gets the job done.
And who knows, it might not even be that difficult to recruit down in Colorado, even in the major cities down there, especially with the kind of at least garbage fire that's been happening in the state of Colorado in some of those D1 programs, especially the infamous of recent, again, happening out in Boulder, CSU, kind of on hard times of recent seasons, and also, too, the rumor, or at least the thought process that at least head coach Calhoun might be going up to Boulder and at least leaving from Air Force. But, again, it sounds like could be an interesting, or at least the pickings are there for the Wyoming Cowboys of the state of Colorado with what's happening down there in the D1 programs in that state.
Yeah, if you think about it, Air Force has really carried the water down there for the last decade plus, and it'll be interesting to see what they do in Boulder. Troy Calhoun, it's so weird to me. I can't imagine that guy being in Boulder, but he's made it abundantly clear he's not a fan of the Mountain West. And, maybe he's ready for a change, and, he's going to get some stupid money in Boulder if they go that route, and he could always land on a NFL job, I'm sure, if that doesn't work out. But I just can't imagine that guy in the city of Boulder, let alone coaching CU. So it's interesting, man. It's going to be fun to see what happens down there.
We're talking with Cody Tucker, founder of 7220sports.com. The signings by the commitments to the University of Wyoming for the football class this year. I'm going to wrap it up on my side with football. And everybody does a great job in recruiting, but, this particular class by Coach Bohl, what do you think?
I think it shows that Craig Bohl is the stubborn man we know him to be. He recruited really heavily on the offensive line and added another quality running back, which I think they have about 400 running backs now, and they're about 7 deep on the offensive line. So, he makes no qualms about it that they're going to run the football, and that's the plans from here on out. So, it was nice this year for people who've watched this program forever to see a, at times dominant offensive line that looks to only be getting better. And like I said, they're just making no qualms about it. But the other thing I like to see personally out of this class was going after some wide receivers, and not only wide receivers, but tall wide receivers that are kind of breaking the mold. You know, Austin Conway and Rocket Ishmael and John Akwali, they all had the same physical profile where they're all about 6 foot tall. You know, there was nobody out there that was big and could outleap guys and go get balls. You know, so I'm excited to see some of these youngsters they're bringing in that can go get them. And they even had a guy they recruited last year, Alex Brown, who only appeared in the game at Texas State, never got targeted. But Wyoming could potentially have 2 6'4" and taller guys out on the perimeter now, which I think can only help their young quarterbacks.
I want to get your thoughts. And again, it's more so. Does involve football, but it's more so the Mountain West Conference. It involves at least one team. I want to get your thoughts on what happened of recent. Again, we're past the situation where the Mountain West and Boise State did come to an agreement of, again, where Boise State, the university, argued against the new, at least TV deal that the Mountain West Conference had, where Boise basically argued of, hey, it's not helping us, it's hurting us. We are the reason why the Mountain West Conference are getting these TV deals. We want basically this, that, and everything under the sun basically to kind of appease us. But Cody, I want to get your thoughts on that situation between Boise State and the Mountain West Conference and their talks about the at least recent TV deal.
Well, to me, guys, Boise State, it's real simple. The last time that the agreement was made, where Boise got the sweet cherry on top, they had leverage. They had the option to go to the Big East, and there obviously is no Big East anymore. So. Where are they going to go? I believe if you go to the Pac-12, you need to have a medical school. Boise State does not have that. I think if they think they're going to go the route, I would hope they're paying attention to the route BYU went, which is obviously not working. So I don't think they have that leverage anymore, and I think the other ADs in the conference know that, and that's why they came out and said, yeah, by the way, this is the last time you guys are getting a sweetener. And, if you want to threaten to leave or whatever, go for it. I mean, it just doesn't make geographic, we're getting to see what West Virginia is going through right now that they're in the Big 12, being way out of the region demographically, and Boise couldn't be any further out of the way demographically for the Big 12. So where are they going to go? I mean, maybe the American Athletic Conference, which is still nowhere near anybody. So I just don't think they have that leverage anymore, guys. They don't have a leg to stand on, and I think the Mountain West knows it.
Or maybe they go down to the Big Sky and finally renew the rivalry there in state with the Idaho States. I
don't think so. Come on, get out of here.
Good luck against Tyler Vanderwall, fellas.
Hey, Cody, let's move on to hoops, and again, the old adage, nice guys. Don't finish last or finish last, whatever the case may be. Unfortunately, Allen Edwards is going to finish last. And we got the same problem here with the LCCC Golden Eagles. They're having a rough season as well. They're at least not last in divisional play. But Coach Edwards, again, I mean, he's being a class act. Obviously, everybody in the state knows the writing's on the wall, and I'm sure Coach Edwards feels that heat. But I mean, what keeps this guy motivated? I mean, it's got to be tough to get these guys into practice, and everybody's gnawing on at him every day.
Yeah, it does, guys. It's got to be. But boy, like you said, the guy handles himself with absolute class, and he talks about how much he enjoys these guys because they come to work, and he's preaching that same gospel of playing defense, taking care of the ball, and rebounding, which the numbers, speak for themselves that is not happening on a regular basis. But he likes the youth on the team, and I asked him that after the game on Saturday, like, is it better to have a youthful team like this that's resilient, that could come back from blowing a 19-point lead at home against your arch rivals? And, he said, yeah, the youth part is nice, that they do care, and that they are going to come back, and they are going to bounce back, and they're not going to pry on this, like everybody else is. That, fellas, I've been to 200-plus games in that arena, and I've never seen anything like that. To lose a game that way, to go from Mount Everest to hell in a matter of 15 minutes was just the most incredible thing I've ever seen, and I think that's what was hard for me, to sit there in that press conference and listen to a coach who sounds the same day after day after day. It's like you almost want to shake him and be like, are you going to tip this table over soon? He's just not that kind of guy, though. And I give him a lot of credit. He's trying to block out the noise, but, man, the noise is getting awfully loud.
Yeah, it's certainly getting loud. Again, you talk about some of those, at least post-game conferences or at least just press conferences in general with Coach Edwards. Again, the guy seems like week in and week out, and again, rightfully so. Again, just seems more just kind of down. The tone is just kind of flat for him. Again, he knows what's happening of just how historically bad this season has been for the Wyoming Cowboys. But, we talk, whether it's with you, Cody, with Kevin McKinney, with, again, other at least representatives of the University of Wyoming. But, here we are, again, the voice, or at least the home of LCCC athletics. And, again, we are kind of those quote-unquote kind of JUCO advocates of, again, student athletes, whether it is in our region or at least throughout the entire nation. But you talk about the youth, and and on the JUCO side, we know it's night and day between freshman players in JUCO basketball to sophomores of just how talent, at least differences are. My question to you, Cody, is for the Wyoming Cowboys. If Alan Edwards is there or whoever is the head coach next season for the Wyoming Cowboys, is this kind of that desperate need to find some of those JUCO players, some of those established collegiate players, again, on the JUCO ranks to kind of put them in there, get that veteran talent to kind of rebuild and get that fan base back into the arena auditorium?
In my opinion, absolutely. I just had this conversation 10 minutes ago with a buddy that, I don't know why people are so scared of these JUCO players. And that's something that Edwards said in his post-game press conference that was really mind-boggling to me. Was he said, if it's just about winning, I can go find some guys and we can pad the win column. And it's just like, drop the mic. What are you talking about? And he kept saying, I'm doing it the right way. I'm doing it the right way. That's commendable, but nobody's in this arena right now. The wins are not coming at all. They've won 4 games in the arena auditorium this year so far, and they have 1 left to win 5. It's like you said, it's historically bad. And then he pointed to Larry Nance and Josh Adams when they were young, that they went through the similar struggles, but they had a guy in Leonard Washington who, was a USC transfer. Him and Luke Martinez stemmed the tide, and they had those guys to learn from. And I kind of left that press conference scratching my head thinking, you just said what could do it. And yeah, it's not about padding the win column. Go get some guys that are going to help win now, because you can't build in college basketball. These guys are only here for 4 years. And, he talked about how young the guys are. There's 8 sophomores on this team that are the main catalyst of this team. But next year they're going to be juniors. And is this team going to win 20 games and compete next year for a Mountain West title? And then they're going to be seniors. And then it's going to be starting right back over. So I'm with you, man. I'm totally with you. I don't see why guys are so scared of these JUCO players. There's been a lot of great ones in Laramie, and I think that's a well that they need to go back to ASAP.
Why is this team, in your opinion, again, like you said, you've seen more games than in the AA with this team, and of course watching the Pokes as well elsewhere, but why is this team such a horrible rebounding team?
Man, you just watch it. They shoot it up, Larry, and all 5 are scattering back to play defense. And I've asked Coach about that, and he said, well, it's more important to get back on defense and be set on defense.
So he would rather be a one-and-done team then, right?
Right. It's mind-boggling to me, because it's like, man, and another thing that's killing him is size. And he brought that up about, hey, we had T.J. Taylor going up against Nico Carvacho today from CSU. T.J. Taylor's only 6'6", so we're really struggling because he's our center. And it's like, yeah, that's true, but you're in charge of recruiting. Why is our center 6'6"? That's the kind of thing. And I know Tyler Mormon's hurt. He's a 6'9" guy, but he's not proven either. So don't even know how he would have responded in that game. So it's kind of one of those deals where it's like, you're in charge of the recruiting. And he always says things like, well, with this group, we have to do these kind of things. With this group, we have these limitations. And that's where I have the hard time dealing with it, because I'm thinking, you've been here for 4 years. This group is guys you handpicked, and that's the hardest part for me to take.
And what about the future? I mean, again, I know Alan Edwards is going to work business as usual, and I'm sure he's already making contacts, trying to sell the program in Laramie. And again, I don't know how things are going on that aspect for Coach Edwards, but it's got to be a tough sell right now, aside from the fact that you might come to Laramie and start.
It does, unless you're a guy who's a fringe guy in high school, or that you're going to come in and probably play right away, and you're one of those guys that just wants to play right away. And I don't know. I mean, the emphasis on winning is the part that is just so hard for me to take. That it's he said this is a build program. That's another thing he said that was kind of mind-boggling. He says this is a build program. We're not San Diego State. We're not New Mexico. We're not UNLV. I don't know if I'm sure you remember, Larry. San Diego State was the automatic W on the schedule all throughout the 90s. They were, you go down to San Diego and whip up on them. They were winning 3, 4, 5 games a year. So they were in a hole for a long, long time too. And to me, the JUCO thing could really help. And I don't understand why you wouldn't do that, especially when Wyoming had all those injuries last year and when they had that mass exodus of players. I mean, they lost, 6 players to transfer? It's just, you got to find some stopgaps here. And, I commend him for trying to do it the right way. And some of these young guys watching that first half against CSU, I was writing a column going, wow, you can see a little bit of the future here. Like Quan Marble has been great. And why hasn't that guy been starting a lot earlier than, the last few weeks is also mind-boggling. But you got to see guys like TJ Taylor and Brandon Porter, and they were doing some things. And you were like, hey, okay, maybe there is some hope next year. And then, oh, man, did it just go downhill in a hurry.
All right, Cody. Hey, we want to thank you so much for joining us. And again, too, going back to that JUCO side, I think coaches are afraid from that 3 for 2, 3 years for get 2 years play. So I don't know why they're staying away from it.
Even though you got top 25 at least programs here, even in the state of Wyoming.
Yeah, but anyway. Cody, hey, we want to catch up with you again down the road. Thanks for joining us today. Do appreciate it, bud.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
All righty, we got to step away here. It's top of the hour time, and we will talk LCCC hoops coming up. Ladies, Golden Eagles coming up in just a little bit right here on 1480 KRAE.
This is 1480 KRAE Cheyenne. It's time for Wyoming Sports Talk today on KRAE. Here are your hosts, Nick and Larry Proetti.
And it is hour number 2 of Wyoming Sports Talk today, which is being brought to you by Mondello's Pizzeria at 1507 Stillwater Avenue, Suite D in the Greenway Commons. Open 7 days a week, Monday through Sunday. Sundays noon until 8. First Year Bank at 1508 Stillwater Avenue. Open Monday through Friday right across the street from Mondello's Pizzeria. Lennox Auto Body and the Auto Glass and Detail Center. First, the Auto Body Shop on Dunn Avenue, the Auto Glass and Detail Center on Pershing Boulevard. B&B Appliance and TV at 714 Central Avenue. Again, getting ready to wrap up their President's Day sale, so don't snooze, you'll lose. Medicap Pharmacy for all your pharmaceutical needs. Open Monday through Saturday next door to Texas Roadhouse. Chick-fil-A, Windmill, and Delrange directly across from Powers Field and Menards. Again, they're open Monday through Saturday, serving up 3 delicious squares. How about Platte Valley Bank times 2? The original location on Vandehei, the east side location right there at the corner of College and Pershing. Kia of Cheyenne on Nation Way, where the lot is filled with the 2020 model year Kias and looking pretty sharp. So talk with AJ and the crew today over at Kia of Cheyenne. And we want to thank Taco John's of Cheyenne. Again, they are, talking about their Perfecto Taco, but also back 6-pack and a pound. Oh, yes. You want to load up on a 6-pack and a pound, especially when it comes from Taco John's of Cheyenne. And we get things underway at Scoreboard Time. It's brought to you by Pepsi of Cheyenne. Here's Nick.
Recapping games from last night in the RAC with LCCC taking on Eastern Wyoming, the Lady Lancers and Lancers, respectively. We'll start on the women's side where LCCC, in a close one, they had a shot there at the waning moments. They're at the RAC against Eastern Wyoming, but they do lose 63-61. So LCCC with a loss in Region 9 North play. They will go to 7-6 in divisional play. 18-11 overall. Men, they were up second after that game wrapped up. They're live at the RAC taking on Eastern Wyoming. We're in that contest where, again, it was back and forth. Eastern Wyoming had a 21-point advantage at a point in time in that game. LCCC came back, but then let it slip out of their hands. For LCCC with a loss, they fall, again, 83-71. With that one, LCCC on the men's side, they in the division will go to 2-11 in Region 9 North play. They will be 4-23 overall. NHL NHL action for tonight. You will see the Toronto Maple Leafs at home. They will host the Pittsburgh Penguins. San Jose Sharks will travel to New Jersey to see the Devils. In the nation's capital at Capital One Arena, the Washington Capitals will host the Montreal Canadiens. Philadelphia Flyers will travel to Columbus to see the Blue Jackets. Ottawa Senators at home will host the Winnipeg Jets. St. Louis Blues at Enterprise Center. They will take on the Arizona Coyotes. In Vegas, Sin City at T-Mobile Arena, the Vegas Golden Knights. They will host the Tampa Bay Lightning. And last but not least, in Staples Center in Los Angeles, the Kings will take on the Florida Panthers. That's what's happening in NHL action for tonight.
The NBA is back in business after the All-Star hiatus, and the Bucks and the Pistons will hook up in the Little Caesars Arena tonight. Heat and Hawks in the State Farm Arena in Atlanta, Georgia. It will be the Bulls hosting the Hornets in the United Center. Nets 76ers in the Wells Fargo Center in Philadelphia. PA in Sacramento. The Sacramento Kings and the Memphis Grizzlies will get together in the Golden One Center. And the Warriors tonight in the Chase Center in San Francisco. They will entertain the Houston Rockets. Our scoreboard brought to you by Pepsi of Cheyenne.
I'm Nate.
And I'm Kate.
And we're not just literal taste buds. We're best buds.
And there's nothing that we love more than a
cool,
crisp,
deliciously refreshing Pepsi!
Sure, we live inside your mouth.
But that doesn't mean we don't enjoy the finer things.
Hey, Nate. Pepsi incoming!
Here it comes!
Tastes so good.
Tell me about it.
So,
amazing.
That's what I was thinking.
It's like we share the same mouth, Kate.
Forever and ever, Nate.
Make your taste buds happy and pick up a delicious, refreshing Pepsi.
Capital Lumber is number one in Cheyenne. Are you listening? We're all the lumber store you'll ever need.
Since 1966, family-owned and operated Capital Lumber Company has been the stop for all lumber, paint, tools, accessories, remodel and do-it-yourself projects, and so much more. Now, Capital Lumber Company announces the beginning of a tasty relationship with Traeger grills, as they now have in stock several models of Traeger grills, along with pellets and accessories. Capital Lumber Company at 1222 Dunn Avenue in Cheyenne.
Brandt Audiology and Sherrard Hearing Centers have teamed up and are now Brandt Audiology and Tinnitus. Hi, I'm Dr. Ruby Zubrod. Our new team allows us to work with Audibel and all national hearing aid brands. We now cover many communities in the southeast Wyoming and western Nebraska area. Call to schedule your appointment so our team can help you with any hearing healthcare need. Call 426-4327 or find us at brandtaudiology.com.
John Mason here for Lincoln Way Pond. Please visit us this tax refund season to get the most bang for your buck. We are the largest and busiest pawn shop in Wyoming for several reasons. We have a 20,000 square foot pawn store with thousands of great lightly used items, and we guarantee everything we sell. We also cash refund checks and do payday loans, and we will even sell you your party supplies at Lincoln Way Liquor. That's Lincoln Way Pawn and Lincoln Way Liquor at 2825 East Lincoln Way, Cheyenne.
First Tier Bank strives to remain competitive and offers some of the best CD rates in the community, as well as area banks and credit unions per Rate Watch reports. How does that make a difference to you? First Tier Bank can assist you in securing some of the best rates on CDs. First Tier Bank offers the personalized customer service you've grown accustomed to and deserve. Plus, feel confident that your finances are taken care of by a responsible, knowledgeable staff. Call 307-632-3500 and ask for Caitlin or Debbie. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Up into the KRAE Time Machine each Monday through Thursday for the golden age of radio, featuring famous radio classics such as Jack Armstrong and Suspense Theater, along with pioneers in the entertainment industry like Bob Hope and Abbott and Costello, along with many other performers who've captured our ears many, many years ago. Join us for the golden age of radio Monday through Thursday, 8 until 10 p.m. on 1480 KRAE, also 101.1 FM, and you can also stream all of our programming on 1480KRAE.com.
When you say Mondello Pizzeria, think authentic Italian. When you say Mondello Pizzeria, think made fresh from scratch. When you say Mondello Pizzeria, think great pizza, delicious Philly cheesesteak, superb hot and cold Italian sandwiches, meatballs, sausage, and special subs, calzones, crisp salads, and great service. When you say Mondello's Pizzeria, think unmatched Italian taste. Mondello's Pizzeria, 1507 Stillwater Avenue, your only true Italian stop for lunch or dinner.
Here's the latest weather forecast on 1480 KRAE.
Weather-wise for today, sunshine, expected daytime high of 33. Clear for tonight with our low down to 14 degrees. Tomorrow, Friday, sunshine and breezy. Look for an afternoon high of 49. Winds out of the west at 15 to 20, gusting as high as 30. And for Friday night, a clear sky with our low dropping down to 26 degrees.
Got something to say? Then get it off your chest right now. Phone lines are open at 307-514-1071. Make your opinion count and call the show. Wyoming Sports Talk today.
We're only going to be able to talk to Brian Ortmeier, the ladies' head coach, and I'm going to ask you this question like I asked you in the postgame show, and I don't mean disrespect when I ask this question because this is not your first rodeo having this happen, and there's many basketball coaches, and it depends at all levels, I guess. But when you get a technical as early as you did last night, does that kind of restrict your coaching? Because again, I look as a basketball coach like a baseball manager. When a baseball manager goes out and argues with the umpire, he either gets run or, they give him an opportunity to go back into the dugout. But when he gets run, usually there's about 4 or 5 bench coaches there to take over for him, and everything's in place. Your situation, you get run, your assistant coach, Coach Ronaldo, would have to take over. But you don't want to get run. But hopefully it kind of sends a message to your bench, gets them fired up somewhat. But does it restrict you a little bit in your coaching after you get that first technical?
I think it absolutely does. Obviously from our standpoint, I think leading up to that, I'd asked him about 2 previous calls during free throws. Now, I wasn't disputing the fouls they were calling on us. It was kind of the previous play that had happened on the opposite end that I was asking about. So, it was kind of a surprise. I yelled down in the corner. I said, that's a foul. And, I think, again, if you were to go back and watch the film, I think we got hit once or twice getting trapped in that corner. Mm-hmm. Ball gets ripped out away from us. It's an and one at the basket, and then it gets compounded by them also, flipping around and giving me the technical. So I think from the momentum standpoint, a bench warning or a little bit of a warning would have been probably more necessary in that situation. But, you do have to back off from that point forward. Again, you have to be very careful about if you do try and approach them from there. And it was a crew that wasn't very approachable, so that was kind of a disappointing part of it. But, you learn from it and you move forward.
Interesting that you mentioned bench warning. We have seen numerous bench warnings throughout the course of the year. Why?
Well, again, infamously, at least one person who was involved in a bench warning happening at the RAC against head coach Ryan Davis. So Sheridan gave, or at least was a part of the tech crew from last night against Coach Ortmeier.
But we've seen numerous bench warnings here. Why did he slap the tee on you that quick?
I'm not sure. Again, we a couple of years ago we had talked in our league that we wanted to get a better rotation so we weren't seeing the same officials back to back. And also 3 times within 4 games. That really was good last year. We didn't really see the same officials back to back very often. And again, it's kind of more copy and paste this year where we have seen the same 2 or 3. Again, kind of the same pairings or 2 out of the 3 the next game, and then we go on the road and we see one of them. And it's something that we'll probably have to address in the postseason. I know I've talked to a couple other coaches in our region, and they've noticed the same thing as well. So, it's tough. You have a crew one game. If it doesn't necessarily go your way and you're questioning some of the calls, sometimes that can carry over. So again, on my part, I've got to be a little careful about it, but you would hope to see that change here, hopefully in the future with our region, so we're not seeing the same crews back to back or twice within 3 weeks.
And with that crew, or at least what has been happening in Region 9, and we've been so outspoken about what has been happening, whether it's on women's basketball or men's basketball. But again, the key word that we've been using is consistency of just calls where regarding at least now your team coach, what does that do to the kind of mental, at least kind of awareness for your Lady Golden Eagles? And again, at halftime, pregame, where you see that crew or how that game is going, I mean, that's obviously got to change the coaching style a bit. But, what do you do in game film where, okay, we got 59 fouls called in total here in this game. We don't know what to expect here in this next contest. How do you kind of approach a game plan then of not knowing what, you're gonna play LCCC basketball, your aggressive nature no matter what, but how does the game plan work as you prepare for the likes of Eastern Wyoming or Central Wyoming coming up this Saturday?
Some of it, obviously you have to adjust in game if it's going to be different from quarter to quarter, half to half. Our girls were really aggressive early in the first quarter trying to get to the basket. And again, that whether you want to call the contact on the attempt to go to the basket, a foul, or a no call with a block, either way, you've got to kind of learn from that. So after we had been blocked 2-3 times, okay, now you got to pull up and you got to shoot the jump shot. Don't drive all the way into the trees and get blocked, especially if you're not going to get that call. So a lot of it just comes down to adjusting based on how they're going to call it. And, if it goes from kind of what we've seen where it's, maybe we're shooting 10 to 15 free throws to a game where we're shooting 40, you have to adjust and play how they're going to call it. So if they're going to call it tight, you got to take advantage of it and attack and drive. And if they're not going to call things, you got to adjust and probably focus more on perimeter play.
With that inconsistency, Coach, again, kind of more on your Lady Golden Eagles, and you being through the ranks, whether at LCCC or at least as a head coach in general, how much does that play in effect of the psyche to the player, or at least those kind of fundamentals that they learn from you from high school through, again, their entire basketball career, where is it a situation that they kind of question, that defensive play, well, they're calling me a foul this time, I'm not getting that foul call, I got to adjust, or is that the right way to play the game of basketball or defense or offense? Is that something that could, throughout a season, kind of affect a player's play style with the inconsistency of at least foul calls out there?
I mean, it can, but I think still you have to be mentally stronger than that. If you get to that point where you feel like it's adjusting your play, then you need to get in the gym and you got to fix some things. So, I think obviously if you're somebody that's constantly in foul trouble, there's no question it can definitely affect how you play, but more often than not, you probably are reaching a lot. You're being really aggressive. So it's part of it is also having to be able to adjust.
As we've looked at of late with the basketball team especially, and again with the level of talent that's been at the rack or when we've been on the road, we talked about this last night as well too. And I was mentioning this to Nick this afternoon. It's almost like if we had a couple of added elements, the stronger point guard. And obviously, you know all this stuff too, Coach. You need, when you're going out and recruiting, I know what you're going to probably go look for. And, we have that in-betweener between an Abby and Jakia. Like I said, I always wish Jakia was about 6'1", 6'2". She would be dominant in this league just on heart alone. But you need that person in between, like that aircraft carrier that's going to be able to, push people away and go after boards. But it's almost like we lack those two elements right now, and hence that's why we lose some of these games as we do.
Yeah, it seems like our league really went focused on having that stretch forward, that stretch four that can dribble it, can drive, can rebound, can shoot from outside. And again, it's going to be about 6'1", 6'2". So, that's kind of an adjustment and it's funny, again, with the evolution of how, your league's going to adjust to recruiting and how they play. That really now it seems like that's been a focus specifically for the top 2-3 teams, so that's kind of an area again where you got to catch up or you're going to get left behind. There's no question about point guard play. There were some, again, I went back and looked at some things today in terms of our 4 seasons that we've had now, and just looking at our 3 kids that typically have been the ball handlers, kids point guards that and then top 2 point guards, and then kind of that third player that'll step in and help out. And if you go back and look at our past 2 years, we were in the plus in terms of more assists than turnovers, and this year's going to be closer to what we were our first year, where we're 50 more turnovers than assists. So we're going to have to either go, we have to develop and get better, or we're going to have to go find some point guards through the recruitment process. So definitely 2 areas we have to get better, and there's no question that's definitely affected us when we get against longer, more athletic, those stronger defenders up top. It's really tough for us to get to the basket.
Well, and it seems like also too, and I think I alluded to, or at least mentioned it on the game of, again, how that game wrapped up last night against EWC. They're live at the rack, where it kind of seems like through some of these losses for LCCC, your team, coaches, when it's kind of those gut check moments, those kind of at least adrenaline kind of rush moments, your team kind of clams up, or at least kind of forgets that they're playing basketball, kind of forgets what they're doing out on the court. They kind of get a little, again, inside their own minds, and that's where the turnovers, the bad passes come out about. Is that something you're kind of seeing as well, Coach?
Well, and it probably more just last night than most of our recent games. We've either been in pretty firm control of some of our games at home, or we've struggled a little bit on the road. So, it probably hurt us that we haven't played that down to the wire close game here in a while. I mean, probably since we've been out in back in January when we had that stretch where we played out in Arizona for 2, and then we had the close game versus Casper Northwest to start off region play. Everything else has kind of been a blowout one direction, or, again, it's been a kind of a tougher loss for us. But, again, we get it back to 1 point there early in the fourth quarter, and we turn it over 3 times in 4 possessions. And then you go down to that last minute of the game, and same thing happened again. So it's something that, again, our freshmen have to learn from, and us as a team, we have to learn from finishing out this season so we don't have that happen again.
Did that style of a game come at the perfect time? Was that a blessing, though, for at least for your team, Coach, where now we start to look, here we are, the final, at least, game of the regular season for LCCC and for Region 9 North in general, as we start to prepare for that first round, at least playoff game, and then eventually the Region 9 tournament. Did that game come at the right time, though, that learning moment come at the perfect opportunity for your squad?
Well, it definitely needs to wake them up. Again, this is our playoffs, so we have to win at home Saturday to even have that chance to potentially host in the first round. And so, we talked about today just focusing on Saturday, starting our playoffs, and making sure that, again, we learn from this last game. And if we do that, then we focus on the next team and the next task at hand. So, you never like to lose a close game, whether it's on the road or at home. So, but, you just hope that your team learns from it, we respond, and we bounce back.
I looked back at last night's game, and again, Coach Anderson has done this now, in the 3 seasons that we've covered you. He had the young lady from Spain and also Aguirre from Spain as well, too. The point guard that they have, and again, they are quarterbacking the offense where they do many things: handle the basketball, shoot the basketball, dribble drive the basketball, and go in and battle for boards. Is that taught, or are these just natural abilities that these ladies have that opportunity to go right? You plug them right in at the point, and you say, go for it.
Yeah, I would say it's probably some of both. A lot of times, though, if you find the right player and they have that skill set coming in, it's a lot easier now to teach them those other things, to become more aggressive, to get them maybe a little stronger. So it really starts, again, finding the right fit that has that skill set that's going to be able to plug in, but also being able to develop them once they get to your school.
So EWC gets a sweep over LCCC, and that one is a stinger. So we know that 1 through 3 is set in our northern division. So with that being said, the CWC game, Central Wyoming College, where we were a little flat up there prior to going on the road to Sheridan. But we did come away with a win. Coach Fearing has had problems just keeping kids healthy up there. But they do have a player in Essie Latu, who, again, you've seen 2 seasons now. She has that tendency to get into foul problems. But if she stays on the floor, 30-plus minutes, that could be disastrous for us, because she is a very good, well-rounded basketball player.
She is. She's been giving everybody in the region trouble. So for us, again, we've got to make sure that we stick to the game plan. We do a good job of covering her up and limiting her opportunities. Essentially, every team's kind of done the same thing in terms of trying to keep the ball out of her hands, and she'll still leave a game with 20, 25 points. So as long as you can kind of limit her chances, and then again, defend very well against the rest of them. We're talking about us playing flat, and I know exactly what you're talking about. We go up there, and from the outside, shooting-wise, we only hit 4 threes. And, again, looking at that box score today, that was Kaysen hitting 3 of them. So, again, our guard play wasn't quite where it's been recently in terms of our ability to shoot the 3. So if we shoot it better at home, we defend well, we should be able to hopefully take care of business again. And if I remember correctly, I think we had like a 13-point lead at halftime. We got that lead out to 20 by the fourth quarter. So we just got to, again, we got to defend well and then also continue to shoot it as well as we have been.
Talk about at least this Saturday's contest with CWC again. Final home game, at least of the regular season. They're live at the Rack sophomore night for your ladies. They're happening again Saturday, 2 and 4 o'clock, as LCCC will play host to Central Wyoming. But as we look towards the standings, and again with the loss in Eastern Wyoming vaulting over Sheridan, Eastern is kind of solidified as the at least number 3 seed. Sheridan right now in the top 4. Those top 4 teams get to at least host that first round playoff game at their venues. And again, with the loss last night, LCCC kind of tumbled down to now having to travel to Sheridan instead of hosting Sheridan. But as we look towards the standings, we look towards at least playoff time with at least one remaining at least regular season contest. How important is this one? How important is it to get this done, to get that opportunity instead of going up to the Golden Dome, which again was not at least too pretty of confines for us, at least this season. But again, having that chance to host the first round playoff game here in the Rack.
Obviously, we play well at home. So the most important thing, again, is this is huge. We have to win this game to at least give ourselves the opportunity to host again. 1, so we don't have to travel. 2, so we get to play at home. But again, I think just 3, even just to have that momentum going into the playoffs. We don't want to roll into the playoffs with 3 straight losses. So for us, again, it's just getting that momentum going back. But we definitely need this home game so we can finish out at least the play-in game round at home.
I want to look back on last night's game. One of the effective defenses that you threw in last night, and again, too, as we look at Central Wyoming College, you want to keep Latu outside, but she is a great shooter from the outside, but she's probably the only one that's very good. So is that one of the situations that you would possibly look at for Saturday, is probably stay in that zone? Because you guys were very effective last night in slowing down EWC, especially from the outside.
We were, and it's actually kind of funny you mentioned that. That's the thing that we came out last season at home when we played them the first time around in the zone, and Essie comes out and hits 3 threes in a row. So, you have to be a little careful about that when she's on the floor. I know Western Wyoming just got done playing them, and again, I think she had 33 points, and she hit, I believe, 5 for 8 from 3. So you've got to know where she's at. If you're going to go probably with some zone, you've got to really spy and make sure you stay close on her wherever she's at. But there's no question. That's probably one of their weaknesses is they don't shoot the 3 very well. So with her off the floor, it's something that you can really entertain and use that zone. And, I thought our girls did really well. I wish we would have probably jumped into it a little sooner. But, again, in hindsight, it's good to know that that's something we can use now in the playoffs.
Again, with talent with the Lady Rustlers under head coach Lindsey Fearing and coming down here, it's one of those teams, as we've talked with you, Coach, looking at towards the bottom of the standings where, again, for Central Wyoming, their final, at least, regular season game, along with the LCCC, where they stand right now 3-10 in Region 9 North, 7-19 overall. They've kind of hit at least a good patch so far. They've pulled off some victories where early on in North play they were winless, but, Central Wyoming is that another team that we're going to see that you kind of worry about, where they're going to try and play spoiler. They're going to leave it all on the floor and basically say, hey, we're going to knock you out of the playoffs, or at least we're going to make you travel at least in that first round game.
Well, and I think more importantly for them, they're playing for seeding too. So they're trying to stay out of that 7 game, where again they'd be playing Gillette as opposed to potentially being the 6 where you're playing Eastern. And again, they just played Eastern really well. So it's one of those things where they're going to be fighting for positioning too. So we got to bring it. We got to be ready to go.
Going back to last night's game, and again, looking ahead towards Saturday, your young ladies came out last night. Didn't look like they were intimidated. They knew they had been beaten at Torrington. And again, like I told you before, your team is a hard team to read. Now we look at Saturday's game. Pressure. Now the pressure would be, is it on you, or are they going to come out with that sense of urgency, knowing that, hey, we win, very good possibility we'll be home. We lose, we're going to make a long trip to Sheridan. I mean, do these young ladies get the message that they it's a must-win game on Saturday?
Yeah, I think they'll come out with that urgency, especially on the defensive end. In terms of pressure, I want to keep that on me. So, because again, I don't want them to feel like they're pressured to have to do too much on the offensive end, and when we start taking bad shots. So, it's more so finding that extra oomph, that energy, and then that extra, like you said, urgency on the defensive end to come out ready to go. So we do, we put the clamps on them right away instead of trading and sticking around or letting them hang around in a game with us. So for us, it's again, we got to come out ready to go. Specifically, we got to bring that energy on the defensive side.
One thing too, and you kind of shut it out as a head coach, but you had to hear it out of both ears last night on either side, whether it was the crew that came down from Torrington or all of the LCCC student athletes that came out, as well as those that have been supporters of LCCC. But it was very exciting last night, and even with the guys' game as well too. But the crowd was definitely in it. And did your kids feel that energy through the course of the game?
Yeah, I really believe so. I think, again, they really got into it when we started making that charge in the third quarter, too. So I think part of that, it definitely helps rattle the other team when they start missing shots, and they're missing shots against the zone and missing free throws. So there's no question. When you can get a good rowdy crowd at home, it can definitely give you that extra, that boost to your team, and hopefully can kind of help psych out the other team as well. But, no, it was a fun crowd. It was good to see a bunch of people out at the rack.
Still looking for that 19th win for the Lady Golden Eagles, and a possibility that it happens here this weekend, this Saturday at the rack, and then again we'll hopefully vie for that 20th win. But I guess my question to you is, and again, as we've mentioned before, recruiting is a 365-day-a-year job for you, in addition to coaching, the 4 months of the season. Have you had inquiries? And again, I know there's only so much you can tell us, but those that have had that opportunity to watch, whether they've been live streaming, have you had those young ladies out of seniors in high school right now saying, hey, Coach, I might be interested in coming up and playing for you?
Yeah, we do get quite a few of those. So it's good for us in terms of the, again, with our program continually growing each and every year, the brand gets out there a little more, and it definitely helps in terms of getting those kids interested in LCCC basketball. So, but again, for us, we're also kind of branching out into that international pool as well. So for us, again, we've got to be patient in terms of kind of who we're looking for. And I think for us now, it's really important that we make sure that we're signing the specific kids that are going to hopefully push us now over that edge.
We haven't had you on for quite a bit, Coach. Any announcements, any signees so far that you like to say that are going to be future Lady Golden Eagles, at least for fans to tune in or at least get excited for 2021?
Sure. Recently, Regan McInerney out of Thunder Basin, she's going to come down and she's going to play volleyball and basketball for LCCC next year. So Regan's sitting out this year for basketball. She's kind of had some back issues that, again, she's getting worked through, getting fixed. And so, again, for her, it was good for her to get that rest. But phenomenal basketball player, just all-around talented athlete. She can play inside, outside, can run the floor, good rebounder. And again, was a big factor on their state championship team 2 years ago. So she'll be a great addition. Obviously we won't have her to start the season out next year, but when she jumps in, she's kind of one of those athletes that can jump in and plug and play and catch on really quick.
You mentioned it's going to be sophomore afternoon on Saturday, and you have the opportunity. This year, we don't say goodbye to many sophomores on this team. A couple of key starters or those that come off the bench, and then one that's been always there in the background in case you needed somebody there in the pivot. So real quick, tell us about your sophomores that you're saying goodbye to, and again, what they've meant to the program.
Sure. I'll start with, obviously our leading scorer, Haley Anderson. She's just been a staple for us the last 2 years. She's been a starter now for a year and a half, and she really provides a great spark plug for our team. And, again, you could tell that little stretch that we had there with her out concussed this year, a little drop-off on the offensive end for us. But Haley's been a great player for us, and again, she just has been one of our best shooters in program history, very consistent player. Jakia Wells right up there. Kia's been, again, kind of off and on a starter for 2 years for us, and again, a great leader as a sophomore. Kia is just really strong overall player. Great driver to the basket, great rebounder, good defender. So obviously it's a player that we're going to miss next season a lot. So Raven Allen, great bounce back year from her as a sophomore. Redshirt sophomore, she'll still have 3 years to play after leaving LCCC. And, again, after bouncing back from an Achilles injury, you never know really how quickly that athlete's going to be able to get back in there and get back up to speed. And you see all these NBA players taking a full year off after their Achilles injury. So, she bounced back in there less than a year later, and she's been a great player to have back in the fold this year. Does a great job driving, good defender, and is really, she sparked us at times. And then obviously Alexis Lamoureux, not a starter for us, doesn't get a ton of minutes, but Lex has been a good leader off the court for our team, and I know our girls absolutely love her. She's been a great player for us in terms of being able to make us better in practice, and she works her butt off every single day. So again, Lex has been one of those players that's, like you said, kind of more in the background, but she's one of those players that, again, has been a really strong player for us in terms of chemistry and being able to build that family with our team. So great sophomore class, and we're going to miss what they contribute to the team, and again, it'll be great to have hopefully a good crowd there at the RAC to wish them off.
Again, I want to thank all those sophomores, too, that have been with the program the last couple of years. Got a big freshman class. Most of them will be coming back next season as well, too. So, again, that's going to be a bigger sophomore class that we'll be saying goodbye to. Coach, we'll see you Saturday afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us here on Wyoming Sports Talk today. Brian Ortmeier of the LCCC Lady Golden Eagles at 2 o'clock tap time, as they will be playing host to the Central Wyoming College Lady Rustlers. Former Cheyenne Central product Lindsey Furian, the head coach of the Lady Rustlers, coming into town. So, again, it's going to be a good contest, 2 p.m. Do join us at the RAC. We'll be back after this timeout right here on 1480 KRAE. MHP is a certified public accounting and consulting firm located in Bow, Cheyenne, and Fort Collins, offering accounting, tax, and consulting services to businesses, not-for-profit, government, and individual clients. MHP takes pride in their commitment to providing close, personal attention to their clients. They also continue to invest time and resources in continuing education, state-of-the-art computer technology, and valuing their relationships with you. MHP is a proud supporter of local and UW athletics. MHP, 314 West 18th Street, or call 634-2151.
For almost 60 years, 1480 KRAE has been Cheyenne's home for good times and great oldies. Add to that live play-by-play sports featuring high school football and basketball, along with LCCC men's and women's basketball. Now combo that with KYOY-FM, and you have Cheyenne and the area's only locally owned AM and FM radio stations. But we don't stop there. We also have 2 FM translators which serve the area with programming from both KRAE and KYOY, and that equals a lot of bang for your advertising dollar. Radio yesterday and now today, along with our websites, web streams, and digital ventures, makes us your one-stop shop. For more information, please call Don Morris at 307-637-0301.
Give your kitchen a presidential upgrade with GE Cafe's Matte White Collection during B&B Appliance and TV's annual President's Day sale. GE Cafe's Matte White Collection offers an easy-to-clean, fingerprint-resistant matte finish with sleek brushed bronze hardware for that unique pop of color. You can find GE Cafe's Matte White Collection along with other brands on sale now through February 22nd. Take advantage of free in-town delivery and haul away of your old with purchase. B&B Appliance and TV, 714 Central Avenue. Best brands, hometown service.
Every day we have the opportunity to lead by example. In delivering reliable, affordable, and responsible electricity to power what matters to you, we are taking bold steps to change how your energy is produced. With 50% of your electricity coming from renewable sources by 2024. Because as a cooperative, we are changing together. Whatever the future holds, we'll power it. Tri-State and High West Energy. Cooperative power. Transformed.
We hold ourselves up to the highest standards, and Kia also holds their cars up to the highest standards. AJ Miller here for Kia of Cheyenne. Start the year off right and get the best value with the new 2020 Kia Sportage. The 2020 Kia Sportage has an updated exterior, new standard technology, driver-assisted features, and available all-wheel drive. This value for the money is tough to find anywhere else. Come into Kia of Cheyenne, call 775-0123, or go to KiaofCheyenne.com. We'll make it easy.
All you good folks in Laramie and Goshen counties, listen up, please. Cheyenne Urological is now operating a satellite clinic in Torrington at 524 College Drive. Yes, top quality treatment for prostate cancer, urinary tract infections, kidney stones, impotence, and incontinence will now be provided by the highly trained staff of Cheyenne Urological in Torrington. So save yourself a trip and take advantage of the same wisdom, compassion, and expertise that served Cheyenne for over 30 years. Call Cheyenne Urological at 307-635-4131.
Hi, I'm Tristan Johnson, mortgage lender at Platte Valley Bank. A home is more than where you live. It's where you make a life. At Platte Valley Bank, we have tailored home loan products paired with great rates and friendly people so you can focus on making memories, not paperwork. I will work with you every step of the way to find the mortgage product that is right for you. Stop by Platte Valley Bank at 3310 North College Drive in Cheyenne or visit www.pvbank.com to get started today.
Platte Valley Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Capital Lumber is number one in Cheyenne. Are you listening? We're all the lumber store you'll ever need.
Since 1966, family-owned and operated Capital Lumber Company has been the stop for all lumber, paint, tools, accessories, remodel and do-it-yourself projects, and so much more. Now, Capital Lumber Company announces the beginning of a tasty relationship with Traeger grills, as they now have in stock several models of Traeger grills, along with pellets and accessories. Capital Lumber Company at 1222 Dunn Avenue in Cheyenne.
Here's the latest weather forecast on 1480 KRAE.
Weather-wise for today, sunshine, expected daytime high of 33, clear for tonight with our low down to 14 degrees. Tomorrow, Friday, sunshine and breezy, look for an afternoon high of 49, winds out of the west at 15 to 20, gusting as high as 30. And for Friday night, a clear sky with our low dropping down to 26 degrees.
Tired of lazy and predictable sports talk radio? We know you are. This is Cheyenne's new sports radio home. It's Wyoming Sports Talk Today, and it's right here on AM 1480 KRAE.
Well, we're going to have to tend to some internal stuff here in just a few moments, so we're going to get ready to wrap things up here. Just a couple of baseball notes right now out of Arizona, Talking Stick.
Well, before we get to baseball, I do want to mention at least, again, as we kind of dictated that it was the LCCC coaches show, again, as evident as we do not have men's head coach Jason Ficka. Again, he is not here in town. Again, he's up in the state of Idaho dealing with family, at least health issues right now. So, again, as we mentioned yesterday, we'll do it today as well, too. Again, best wishes out to Coach Ficka.
With Coach Ficka,
yeah,
yes.
Again, he is away. That's why he was not there at last night's contest. Again, assistant, at least coach Dwayne Salisbury took over in his place. Again, head coach Jason Ficka dealing with family health issues. So, again, our thoughts and our best wishes out to him and his family.
And Dwayne doing the family thing today, yeah. So he was not available to us, so that's fine and well. Now, moving on to baseball, spring training. Matter of fact, spring training games get underway this weekend. Going to Rockies camp at Talking Stick right now. Wade Davis, they are throwing the mantle upon him again to hopefully regain his closer's role with the Rocks last year. And really, there's nowhere to go but up.
I don't think they go up. I honestly think it's going to be a battle between San Francisco and Colorado for dead last once again.
Well, and I now that brings up the question. Now, first off, just going back to Davis's numbers.
Padres are better than the Rockies, I think. Clearly, the Dodgers are. In Arizona, I think they bolstered enough, or at least proved enough last season that, yeah, they're a better team than, again, what Giants are going to put out there.
Davis, again, 1-6, 15 saves, 8.65 ERA. So that begs the question. And again, Bridich and Arenado have not cleared up that little rift that they had.
Where again, who are Rocky fans are going to back more, or at least they
back up.
They want Arenado
7 more years of Nolan's contract.
And again, the stand pat, at least nature this offseason by the Colorado Rockies and by Bridich, where again we go infamously back to the postseason, at least conference that the Rockies had, where he said we're not going to do a whole lot. We're not anticipating to make a whole lot of moves. We like what our team is now. Well, your team as of now got you dead last year in the NL West.
But
is projected to finish near dead last again this season.
I know, but let me ask you this question. As you go around the horn with Arenado at third, Story at short, Probably.
We know again, Rockies have always been that franchise.
That Blake Street Bombers,
where again,
I mean, they've
you
got
the
power.
You got the power, you got the infielders, you got those offensive, at least, powerhouses there to at least contribute to, but only can be done so much by those players when your pitching staff is terrible. Where that pitching staff, where, again, your hitters can put up probably about 5, 6, 7 runs a game, but your pitching staff is averaging that as well, too, per game to whatever opponent, whether it's in Coors Field or even on the road. That's the issue right now, is that you have the pieces there to be talented. That's at least in the infield, the outfield, at least your mainstay athletic players on the field, but your pitching staff, whether it is starters, closers, relief, we saw last year, they trended downwards. They're terrible.
Well, here's what's happening. And again, like I said, we're getting ready to wrap this up here. Here's your staff right now, as of today. And the names are still the same. Herman Marquez, John Gray. Do you expect Kyle Freeland to have an off year like he did last year? You got
Is he going to have a good year? I don't think so. I would think that he'd have a more rough year than a good one.
Chichi Gonzalez and Antonio Senzatella. The name that's not there is one Anderson, who signed with the Giants, the lefty. And then you look at your pen. You got Oberg, who's day-to-day right now. He's injured. You got McGee, Brian Shaw. They're expecting big things out of Shaw this year. Walters looks like he's going to be the number one catcher. Does Daniel Murphy have an off year like he did last year? I mean, that thumb injury was a lot worse than it was. I mean, he battled through a lot of pain last season. He's going to be
100% from it, I would assume. So.
You got McMahon, Arenado, Story, David Dahl should be back this year. And again, he has not had a full healthy season in the majors.
Do you anticipate he would this season? Something again, I go off odds. I'd say no.
You got Ian Desmond, who is his backup. You got Garrett Hampson and Charlie Blackmon. I mean, the makings are there for this team to not make a run at the pennant, but maybe be a wild card team again. Do they need a 7th, 8th inning guy, a 9th inning guy? Do they need starters? I don't know. But I think offensively this is a good ball club.
Up and down of the pitching staff, you need a mixture of all aspects, whether it is starters, closers, relievers. You need it all right now for the Colorado Rockies, which they don't have. But also, too, it is that situation of, again, you're not so much recruiting, but it is a situation of, is going to Colorado if you're a top name, or again, whether it is a Madison Bumgarner, and who knows if they were in talks with the Rockies and him to get him out to Denver and play for the Rockies. Who knows? Again, he is now with the Arizona Diamondbacks, but Colorado, especially of what we know of Coors Field, and again, the old adage of, hey, it's a tough place to go pitch at. It is that hitter's ballpark. Is it really that attractive place for some big name pitchers to go and go, yeah, I'll sign with the Rockies. Okay, you're putting up the money. Yeah, sure, I'll go play for your franchise.
I think the only way you get a pitcher is by a trade. That's the only way you're going to get a pitcher to come to Colorado. All right, we got to wrap things up.